Female/31 cheated on husband over layouts. I apologize in advance for the lengthy article. I've been married to my husband for 8 years. I was the typical girl next door who lost her virginity on her wedding night. That type of stuff, good girl. 4 years ago, I got pregnant and gave birth to a beautiful baby girl, and our wonderful lives were made much better. I had a lovely home, a hot spouse, a fantastic life, a darling daughter, and a rewarding work. Everything was in my possession. I was laid off 2 years ago. My previous employer sold our bank card division to an out-of-state corporation. They offered to move me, but because my spouse earns more money, it made more sense to reject and hunt for another work closer to home. I was disappointed and irritated, but I went back to work believing it was just a little setback. I had numerous companies that were interested in hiring me since I was excellent at what I did. However, I fell pregnant again and had to postpone my job hunt. Unfortunately, I miscarried, which drove me into a deep melancholy, and work opportunities dried up at the same time. I was perplexed. I feel I was always a wonderful mother because I prioritized it. But I knew I wasn't receiving the personal success and fulfillment I wanted in my life from my job. I'm sure many will criticize me for it, but that's just my opinion. It had an impact on me as a wife as well. I wasn't as cheerful and joyful as I usually am, and our life fell from porn star to barely surviving. My husband, bless him, tried all he could to assist me, including crying on my side of the bed and promising me he'll do whatever it takes to make me happy if I just told him. But I couldn't tell him because I didn't know what would make me happy. A few months later, we bumped into a guy we both know, who used to attend our church, in a restaurant. He sat with us at our request and we had a wonderful talk. He made me an offer when he inquired what I was doing and I told him I was between jobs. He's a photographer, and he asked me to do a picture shoot for him. I chuckled because I'm not a model. But that's exactly what he wanted. Women from all across the globe who are true to their professions. He was dead serious. I pondered about it all night and was thrilled about it. It was dressed, not naked or in lingerie. My husband was dubious at first, but when he realized how much I wanted to do it, he agreed. I posed in everyday attire such as jeans, khakis, dresses, and skirts. I performed 6 picture shoots, and they were so much fun that I felt attractive even though I was simply wearing my regular clothing. Every time, I'll state that the dress he had me wear grew a bit more, heels, then a shorter skirt, then cleavage, then something tighter. I viewed the photos from my previous session, and I thought I looked fantastic. I wanted to show them to my husband, but the photographer said he'd put them in a portfolio after we were through. He had an idea. How about lingerie for our anniversary? Although it was 3 months away, I liked the concept. My spouse would like it, and I had become extremely fond of this photographer. So I posed in my underwear. I was a bit uneasy at first, but as we progressed, I felt better. In fact, I felt fantastic, really fantastic. I got a little carried away. It took a long time, but I finally pulled my teddy straps down and displayed my breasts. I didn't ask him, I simply did it. He took a lot of photos of it. And, as you could expect, he came over and kissed me. On the set, we had. To be honest, it was wonderful. Everything about it was great. We didn't just do it once, but multiple times that afternoon. I conducted an act with the photographer that my husband had always wanted to attempt but I refused. I simply let it all hang out. It wasn't until I came home that it struck me. I saw his clothing, our bed, and the fragrance of our surroundings. It struck me, and I sobbed. A great deal. I immediately stopped posing. The photographer continued messaging and phoning me, but I never returned his calls or texts, and I never saw the photos he shot of me. I wish I could say that I immediately informed my husband that I had cheated on him, but I didn't. I kept it a secret from him for months. Face to face, I finally told him. He was taken aback and heartbroken. He hasn't touched me since, and it's been almost 5 months. He hasn't divorced me, and he is cordial to me, but not as kind and sympathetic as he once was. But he used to be all over me, and now he won't even touch me. It aches how badly I messed up, and I wish I could undo the damage I've done. But I'm afraid I can't. And I could lose the one guy who has ever meant anything to me. Story 2. My wife cheated on me with the neighbor. Help. If you're having a horrible day, so here's the gist of my tale. Due to the fact that we were high school sweethearts, I've been married to my wife for 14 years and have been with her for nearly 20 years. Approximately 2 months ago, I discovered that wife had cheated on me with the neighbor. I caught her mostly because our children blew it for her by not telling me about their day, and because her being at the jerk's home for the length of time she was alone didn't make any sense to me at the time she was there. Asked where mommy was when you guys returned, one of my daughters said, "I don't know, she was inside," adding that the girl who went and claimed that the other man said he'd be right out. What the heck is going on? So, to cut a long tale short, I confronted her the next day and, like any other cheater, she attempted to fib at first before ultimately breaking down and confessing. All she claims they did was kiss, and he gently stroked her chest before she stopped him since she sensed something wasn't quite right. Her dismissal was swift and effective. Since then, we have sought therapy, and she has ridiculed her way back into the house. To be quite honest, I did it more for my children than for her, since I was in such a bad place without them in my life. Yes, I was still able to see them, but it required a great deal more work and was usually uncomfortable. Now comes the time for me to ask some inquiries. The two of them had been for around 3 weeks after speaking with her and attending therapy. She emailed him images, and he responded by sending them to her. She claims that she only submitted images of her face and buttocks and jeans that were genuinely hers, and that she took pictures of other people's and vaginas off the internet and sent them to him as if they were hers. By the way, I don't think that's true. In response to my question, he provided her a photo of his junk, and when I inquired, I was told that he was large, to which she responded that he was in fact little. I'm not going to believe it again. It is my understanding that it came to an end with a kiss, and if so, did it come to an end because she thought she had done something wrong, or because the children returned home? Because I can't image two individuals who have been talking about something for 3 weeks and who, if given the chance and the kids have been gone for what feels like an eternity, would not have a good time if given the opportunity to bang it out. I have another question for those of you men out there who have gone through this. How do you get back into bed with your wife after going through something like this? Despite the fact that we've been together for a long time, the thought of whether he did this to you still enters my mind from time to time, and more often than not. I'm having a hard time getting that out of my brain. Our first encounter occurred this past weekend, and as I went inside her, she was so tightly wound that it instantly made me angrier. I was thinking to myself, despite the fact that I am not a small man, standing at 6'2" and 225 pounds, with a good amount of muscle, that well, we haven't had in about a week and a half and she isn't banging him, so that's why she got so tight, and that's why she has been looser, because he was actually bigger than me, and she lied about that as well. She has made a promise to me that she would never have intercourse with him, and she has shown deep guilt for having cheated on me. The problem is that after being with someone for that long, 24 years, I have become acutely aware of how often she lies to everyone and how adept she is at misleading everyone around her. If you've been through anything similar, or if you've cheated on your husband or partner, please get help right now. Because I do love her, and it is starting to feel more like the sort of love that you would have for a lifetime friend than the kind of love that you would have for your husband, I am truly going nuts. Even though I am adamant about not having intercourse with her, she is infatuated with the thought of having relations with me. And that's something else I'd forgotten about her before all of this. She was and continues to be a man's woman, who could and would have done whatever she wanted at any time of day or night. She is a tremendous admirer of oral therapy and will never, and I mean never, say no to having it performed on her. That just serves to support my conviction that she did not get to a place where I could forgive her because she likes it, as she claims. Apologies for the lengthy ramble, but this has definitely affected me to the core. I hope you understand.